Hi everyone, and welcome back to our Shout podcast. In every episode of the show, we're going to be bringing you a mix of insight from those who work across the charity, as well as some incredible stories from members of our fire family who we've supported, and from those who've taken on some inspirational fundraising challenges for us. So, please rate, follow, or subscribe to the show on your usual podcast platform. Then, sit back and enjoy hearing from one of our 2025 London Marathon runners, Sam, who I spoke to recently to find out how we supported him with both his physical and mental health. And if you've ever wondered what happens to all the clothes that fill our recycling banks, we've got a great chat coming up with the CEO of one of our recycling partners to find out how the textiles you donate get turned into funds to help us support more members of our fire family. And finally, we've also got a chat with our Chief Executive, Sherine Wheeler, who shares some of the highlights from her time with our charity so far, as well as taking a deeper dive into the key health and wellbeing challenges facing our fire services community today. So, to start today's episode, I chat with Sam, a firefighter with London Fire Brigade, who will be running the 2025 London Marathon for us after receiving some life-changing support. Thank you so much for joining today, Sam. So just tell me a little bit about why you first became a firefighter. Was it your dad being a firefighter himself that inspired that for you?
Yeah, that definitely helped. Seeing my dad join the fire brigade, so he was my whole life I've known him as a firefighter in the fire brigade. He was based at Bow, and seeing the lifestyle and the jobs that he did, and that really used to get excited to listen to stories and see what he come back with. So that definitely helped. I tried office work for a little while, and just too fidgety, and I just couldn't deal with it. So I needed to stay different every day. So yeah, when I had the opportunity and old enough, I applied for the fire brigade immediately.
And just tell me a little bit about when you first heard about our charity and the support we offer. Was that before you became a firefighter yourself?
Yeah, so at a young age, my dad had torn all the ligaments in his ankle, and I believe he went to Harkham House to get the rehab and the facilities there. And obviously he took us with him, and I got to see firsthand what they did, and that this whole kind of fire brigade family outside of London Fire Brigade, and saw something that really helped him and benefited us as well. So, and then throughout the years he used them, and I've used them as well.
Did he tend to get involved in any fundraising activities, and did you see that early on as well?
Yeah, I saw quite a bit of the fundraising through like open days and other events that he did. I think he did abseiling once and things like that. So he'd always done his best to raise money for the charity, and that's why I've kind of followed in his footsteps really and done the exact same for him.
So when was it, how early into your career was it that you actually needed our support yourself, and what led to that?
Fairly early. I think it was probably about 3 or 4 years in. I was on the way to work and had a head-on collision beside a drunk driver on the wrong side of the road, took me out. And ripped off the car and ripped me off as well. So I got in contact with the charity, and fairly sharpish, they again sent me to Harkham House, had me on like a week's course to get the rehab and the facilities there to get me moving and back again.
I was just going to say, how were you injured? Was it quite a long recovery period? What actually happened?
It was mainly just quite a bad whiplash and quite bad muscle pain around my neck and back, and that was the main work, was around my back and neck, because I had quite limited movement.
What did you find anything in particular beneficial with the gym and the swimming, for example? Was there anything that really helped you while you were there?
I think the combination of everything was amazing. If I'm honest, you had the hydrotherapy, which is great. The physios there helped quite a lot, and they're even doing the gym work just to help me kind of be in a comfortable space with people that knew what they were doing, to kind of help me to not push myself, but push it enough that I got the better faster. Do
you think, having had that support quite early on, you would encourage anyone else that might need support early in their career to get in touch with us?
100%. I think, it's the second you join, it's there for you. So I think, this is, as soon as people join, they should be on it. And I say that if they ever need them, reach out to them, because they're definitely there for us.
And we're obviously there for families and spouses and partners as well. I believe your wife had some of our support, did she? Is that right?
She did, yeah. So my wife's American. She moved over from New York, and she moved in. She moved in just before COVID. So COVID hit. She already thinks she felt a little bit isolated anyway from being away, and then locked in the house as well. So she went through a bit of like a kind of stress and mental anxiety for a while. A few other things happened, and I told her, reach out to the charity, see if they can help, and she did. I made the initial contact, and they contacted her, and they sent her on one of the refresher courses, like the 5-day refresher courses.
The reset program, is that right?
Reset program, that's it. Sorry. And she had an amazing time. To say it was 5 days away from the home, 5 days away from everything, really, to be with like people that all kind of needed each other. And yeah, she came back like a lot happier, and definitely kind of started the process on mending her, making her feel good again. So yeah, it was fantastic that it was there for her.
That's brilliant. And do you think since she's been home, she's able to take some of the tools that she learned on that programme back home with her, and has that helped her longer term?
Definitely, yeah. She still uses a lot of it. It's funny because she's still in contact with some of the group from that as well. So again, she's made like a set of friends that she probably wouldn't have necessarily met if it weren't for the charity and for that kind of thing. And for someone, again, settling in another country who doesn't really know anyone here, that was nice to get like a little group of friends outside of people that I know. And then to say with the work she's done as well, all the breathing stuff she still does now.
That's brilliant. And it's probably a really nice opportunity for you to learn a bit more about the mental wellbeing side that we offer as well, because you'd obviously received a lot of physical health support yourself. But have you since needed any of our mental health support?
Yeah, so recently I had a few things happen, really, just a bad timing. You know, if it happens, things they happen at once. So I had my birth of my baby, it's a newborn girl. The birth wasn't easy, and there was a few other little things in between, and just I think everything culminated, so I needed a bit of time, hence the beard. That's why I was able to grow a beard, because I'm off working on one. But I contacted the charity pretty much immediately and just said, I need a bit of help here. And they were so fast in getting back to me. And I'd done the 6 therapy sessions, like with a therapist online. Yeah, they were amazing. The person I spoke to, I think that the change from my first one to now, I really felt it, and she gave me tools to kind of work forward with. And then hopefully she's going to put me on one of she said she can put me on one of the reset sessions soon. I was meant to do one this month, but I couldn't do it, so I'll be doing it again in February. So yeah, they've definitely given me a lot.
That's amazing. Do you think, obviously you reached out for help really early on. Is that something you would encourage in any of your colleagues who might show those early signs of anxiety and stress, for example?
100%. I think, again, like the job we do is hard enough, and some, like, so I know every station, every brigade or fire service is different, but I think the job as a whole is a stressful job. And then you put on top of it a lot of the stuff, they're asking more and more of us and more things to come from us. And I think it's just so important to keep an eye on what your mental health. And again, being surrounded by a bunch of firefighters, I know times are changing a bit, but it's quite easy just to be like, I'm fine, don't worry about me, I'm fine, and try and kind of, I'm tough, I'm a firefighter, I don't need help. And I think that we kind of need to step away from that. And if you do need help, get it, because it's there for us. And it's so important. And they say it's done me a world of good, because I think I'm better at home, I'll be better going forward, and for my daughter, I'll be better for her and better for my wife as well. So I think it's just, I really encourage people to, if you need the help, go get it, because it's there for us. So definitely use it.
And would you sort of tell people it was quite easy to get that support? Because I know a lot of people probably feel quite nervous about reaching out to us and that first initial step. For you, was that quite a smooth process?
Yeah, very, and all very, like, it wasn't judgmental at all. So obviously I applied online originally, and then I got a couple of phone calls to just check in and kind of see the best route for me. And everyone I spoke to was very understanding, very nice. There was no rush or no judgment, or you've got to do this, you've got to do that. It was very much at my own pace, what you need and how can we facilitate. And it was, everyone was fantastic from day one.
Since then, or sort of during that process, I suppose, you signed up to do our London Marathon, didn't you? What kind of inspired that for you? For doing it in aid of us, essentially? Pretty
much for the last few years, I've always tried to do something to raise money for the charity. So I organised the ladder climb in September for a couple of years now. Done a few things at station from car washes and all the other bits. But 10 years ago, I'd done the London Marathon for the first time, and I thought it'd be interesting just to see 10 years later, like, if I've still got it in me, but also just the difference in fitness levels. And I think to get to do that for the charity, I jumped at the opportunity, really. And because what they've done for me, they've done so much for me. And I just, if I can raise money for them any way possible, that's always the way. So yeah, London Marathon was the one.
Good for you. Rather you than me. Do you think it's an important message as well? Because obviously at the end of the day, we are a charity. We do rely on these donations and these fundraising efforts to be able to keep offering the services that we do. Is that an important message for you, to spread the word about the importance of fundraising wherever anyone can?
Definitely. And again, when I done the Harkham House School. So that's one thing that kind of shocked me, was that they got no funding at all other than through charity work and through fundraising. So that really blew my mind that there was nothing else coming in. So everything really is reliant on us. So I do think it's so important for every firefighter out there and families and all that to kind of do what they can and do their bit to help the charity, because it's there for us. So we should be there for them, really. So yeah, any opportunity I think we get, we have to kind of do our bit for them, really.
With the marathon effort then, how's the training going? Is it all going better than planned? Slower than planned? How's it feeling?
The training is going all right. I'd done a half marathon a couple of months ago, or 3 months ago now, just to see how well I am. It's been going all right. I'm lucky. My wife was a track coach and a runner herself.
Oh, that's handy. Wow. So
she's been helping. One of her former coaches is going to send me a plan based around my shift patterns. So again, so I've had a couple of weeks off because I pulled me back, but it's going all right. I don't know how quick I'll be, and I don't know how I'll feel afterwards compared to when I was 10 years younger.
Good. And do you have plans for your fundraising? Are there any things that you've found in the past have really helped to boost the fundraising coming in for it?
I've just tried to do like little mini events in between. So as I say, I've signed up for a few 10Ks and half marathons in between, kind of just before the marathon, the build up. So just trying to do little events, like little and often before the day, and just to keep it fresh in people's heads. So like every other month or every month or so, I'll do something just to remind people, look, I'm doing this. Because it's one of them hard ones. You don't want to be a pest. I don't want to keep kind of, please give me, please help. But it's also quite important to obviously get the money and to raise money for the charity. So yeah, it's little and often trying to do little bits here and there, as many events as possible for the big day.
If you're looking to plan a fundraiser like Sam in 2025, you can find details of how to get in touch with us and see some ideas to get you started in the show notes. Next, I chat to Owen Ritchie, CEO of Clyde Recycling in Scotland, about our hugely successful recycling campaign across the UK and exactly what happens to your unwanted clothing when you donate it to one of our recycling banks. Thanks so much, Owen, for joining me today. You're one of our valued recycling partners. We've got them right across the UK. You yourself at Clyde Recycling are based up in Scotland. Could you just tell me a little bit about how Clyde and Firefighter Charity first started working together? How did that actually happen?
Well, it happened over 15 years ago. We got chosen to do the whole of Scotland for the charity. So it just started from there, basically. We started surveying stations round about the Glasgow area, and then grew from there. Back then it was more districts. So you had like Strathclyde Fire and Rescue and things like that. So it was a wee bit more tricky initially. But then over the years it's developed, and then they scrapped the regions, and now it's just Fire Scotland, which made that a lot easier for us to kind of jump through the hoops. And we just keep placing banks each year. I've got another 40 in my yard to be placed in the coming weeks. So yeah, continuing to grow each year.
Excellent news. Where would people find those banks then? Are they obviously largely around fire stations, but are there any other locations they can spot them?
For ourselves, it's fire stations at the minute. By the moment, we're all over Scotland. We've got over 120 banks, placed over 100 sites. I'm sure you can go onto the Firefighter Charity website. You can put it into the find your nearest bank, and it would tell you.
You guys, you're at the other end. People come to a bank, they donate their clothes. Talk me through how you're involved from that moment onwards and what exactly happens from there.
So when the member of the general public donates the clothing / shoes to the textile bank will fill up. We have scheduled routes, which we are pretty good at getting there before it's full. I've actually recently trialled sensors with 30 of my banks. So there's a fill level sensor. So when it hits the fill level, then we go out and collect from it. So we're trialling that at the moment. That's just to make sure that nothing overflows. They're not sitting outside and donations are getting ruined. What happens after they've been collected is they come back here to our yard. They get emptied off into a big metal cage. That gets weighed and then goes into the start of our sorting process. and that's just basically all bags burst open, pushed up a conveyor system and graded by each individual.
Would you say a lot of the clothing doesn't necessarily need to be in pristine condition?
It doesn't need to be, it can be pre-loved, is the new saying we're using these days. Pre-loved is the way to look at it. As long as there's life left in the garment, then we can work with it. Obviously, the better quality is a bit better, but we can deal with the good and the bad, as long as it's not totally spoiled and ruined, i.e. paint stains, soiled in some kind of chemicals. Quite the obvious things that you look at that and think, oh, that's ready for the bin.
Because that leads me to my next question. We do get asked quite a lot the kinds of things that people can donate. Are any examples of the kind of thing you see quite regularly that are really handy to donate?
To donate dresses, women clothing, men's clothing, kids' clothing, shoes, handbags, belts. Yep, that's the kind of the gist of it. Anything that's in your wardrobe you don't want anymore, and you think there's life in it left, then donate it to the yellow bins.
Amazing. And once it's gone through the sorting and everything, where will this clothing end up? What kind of things is it used for from there?
Going up our sorting line, we have pickers that grade it into the end market. So the more heavier items, they're coming off initially, and they're going to Eastern Europe and some to Pakistan. And our main market is Africa, so that leaves us summer clothing goes to Africa.
Amazing. So it really is, not only is it supporting our charity, but it's obviously massively helping clothing not to get to landfill.
It's also driving the economy in these third world countries, because it's a big player for them over there. It's one of the main businesses, and the likes of Ghana is second-hand clothing.
Fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant, the advantages it's got then. It's obviously a huge income generator for the charity, and every pound that is raised through recycling does help fire service personnel right across the UK. Is that important to you as a company and your individual employees as well, knowing that they are making that massive difference to our fire family? Yeah,
massively. The drivers that go out and collect from the stations are all on kind of first name terms with the firefighters and stuff like that. So no, they're proud to do the work they're doing. I'm immensely proud of it. We enjoy sometimes sponsoring events and things like that as well. We try and go above and beyond our Call of Duty there, because the charity's that special.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Coming up, it's very timely because we've got our January campaign, Bag It, Bank It, which encourages communities right across the UK, so not just Scotland, but all over the UK, to recycle as much as they can. And then, depending on the fire station bank, we'll have a winner in England, in Wales and in Scotland. Is that something you'd encourage people to really get behind? Obviously, having seen the difference that the unwanted clothing can make down the line.
Definitely. January's always the time to clear out. So it's taking that opportunity when everyone's already clearing out, come to the firefighter charity bin with it, not any other competitors.
Do you see a big increase in donations in January because of this campaign?
Yeah, January we're always 20 to 40% off in donations.
That's what we want to see. But it does carry on beyond January. Obviously, we always do this massive push then. But again, would you encourage people to donate year round? You never know when you might have excess clothing.
Yeah. We're continuously, it's not just January, so we're continuously servicing the textile banks, and whenever there's a time for a clear out, or that's the time to bring it to the bank.
You can also find details of our recycling campaign, as well as a link to our map to find your nearest firefighters charity clothes bank in the show notes. Just head to the episode page on your podcast platform. And finally, in this episode, I chat with our Chief Executive, Sherine Wheeler, about her own perspective on the challenges facing the health and wellbeing of our fire services community and how we can help. Sherine also shares a little about her own aspirations for 2025 and her thoughts on setting New Year's resolutions. Brilliant. So, hiya, Sherine. Thank you for joining us. You've been in the role of Chief Executive for the Firefighters Charity now for almost 8 months. How's it going, and are you enjoying it so far?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Thanks, Becca. It's hard to believe it's been 8 months already, actually. Sometimes it feels like it's been quite a bit longer, and other times it feels like no time at all. No, it's been wonderful. I think I said this in kind of the early weeks when I first joined, and I think it's truer and truer the more I get to know everybody. But I couldn't have walked into an organization with a nicer workforce. I mean, our staff are seriously talented, seriously committed, and just really lovely people. And I think that really comes across to our service users, to our partners, and it certainly makes me feel really privileged. So everything is going great, but most of all, I'm just so proud of our staff and volunteers. And it just feels like a brilliant team to be a part of.
That's lovely to hear. Thank you. You've spent a lot of time just in the few short months you've been here with individual fire and rescue services. Has it highlighted to you the importance of our support and also of continuing to strengthen those relationships with them going forwards?
Yeah, actually. And I think there's probably kind of three parts to my response to this. The first thing is, ever since I joined, almost at a frequency of once a week, I've met somebody who's told me that the charity has saved their life. And, that's hugely compelling and important. And I think that the charity does do work that is the difference between darkness and light and despair and hope. What has come across from my conversations with fire and rescue services across the UK is I think we need to do a lot more to raise awareness of the help that we can offer. I think that we have to be accountable for that. I think that we do a smashing job of service delivery and fundraising and raising awareness, and they're amazing partners for us in that respect. But I think there's a lot more we could do to help people understand all of the various ways that we could be providing them with care and support, and their families. So I think that's something that's come across. I think the other thing I would say, that I guess the last part of this response to your question, Becca, is we are in a really unique position if you think about it, because we are independent of fire services, and we have this confidential, trusted, non-judgmental relationship with fire service personnel and former personnel and all of our other eligible beneficiaries. And I think what we see in terms of their health and well-being, what we know and understand about, what the unique challenges they face, those things mean that we're in a unique position to express a view about how to improve the health and well-being of fire and rescue service personnel. And I'd really like us to kind of use an evidence-led way of talking about those things. Well-being is personal, it's subjective, and fire and rescue services do a lot to support people with their well-being. But there are so many things that influence how somebody feels. I think we are in a unique position to inform what services do to support people with their well-being.
And it kind of leads me on to the next question, actually. It's probably a difficult one to answer in some ways, but do you think there are some key challenges facing the health and well-being of our fire services community at the moment? Obviously, we touched on the fact that we're in quite a unique position to help with those, but if there were any in particular that you'd highlight?
Yeah, I think the first thing is this point about culture. If you work in an organization or for an employer or in an environment where you feel valued and accepted and respected for exactly who you are, then you're going to find it more possible to feel well in yourself doing that job. So culture has a direct relationship with well-being, actually, and we have a unique understanding of how culture influences well-being and how to support employers with that. So I think that is one of the challenges that's facing the health and well-being of our fire services community in certain areas, and that's okay. I think there's a second thing, which is about some of the, I guess, kind of strategic themes in fire and some of the ways that the work of being in the fire services is changing and evolving. Some of that has to do with climate, things like flooding, things like, wildfires, but some of that also has to do with kind of like new energy sources and things that, fires are coming about in different ways than they used to. And we've got the, kind of obvious issues around structure fires and contaminants and how those impact on firefighter well-being as well. And so I think there are a few things going on. Fire service, always interesting. And I think this is a really fascinating strategic moment in the sector as well. But, our fire and rescue services across the UK do an outstanding job. And I think we all have a role to play in understanding and valuing and recognizing their contribution to society, actually.
Brilliant, thank you. You've probably touched on a couple there, actually, but I was just going to ask if there's any particular services and support that we're developing in 2025 that you might be able to touch on.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that's really useful probably to highlight is we want to scale our service offering. We are receiving more demand than we can rise to meet at the moment, and we are seeing that the complexity of need is evolving. So what we need to do is find a way to scale our services without spending much more money and without compromising the quality of what we deliver, which has been rated outstanding and which we're hugely proud of. So I think we need to think about how we offer some of the things that we offer increasingly through digital means for those to whom that would be appropriate, so that we can reach more people. And we need to kind of do that really well in an impact-led way. But I also think that we have some areas of our work where we could be a little bit more effective and efficient in terms of reducing wait times and making sure that people are receiving that holistic, person-centered model of care every time. So the upshot of that is we're doing an amazing job. We couldn't be prouder, but we need to do more of that amazing job for more people in ways that are most relevant and accessible for them. And that's what our focus is going to be in 2020.
I think that's fantastic, particularly reaching people that we might not have reached before. It's brilliant that we're using those digital technologies in that way. What would your message be to someone listening to this who maybe isn't familiar with everything we do, all the different programs, the different support that we offer?
Well, in a nutshell, I would say we are a charitable provider of health and well-being, and we're really, really good at that. And what sets us apart is we are offering a range of services that are confidential, that are free of judgment, and that are independent of any fire and rescue service. Those things are really important to remember, because I hope what that message will do is remove any barriers to access. We understand the fire services community in a way that other health and well-being providers cannot and do not. That's what I believe. And we are massive champions of everybody in the fire and rescue services community. So if you're listening to this and you're not familiar with everything that we do, or you don't know whether you should reach out to us, I would encourage you to. We can provide you with clinical care, both psychological and physical. We can provide you with well-being support, you and your family and your loved ones. We can provide you with practical support, including with welfare, and we provide a range of information and advice so that you can self-direct your access to health and well-being information. So please reach out to us. We're a lovely bunch of people, and we are all about you.
I was just going to finally touch on New Year's resolutions. I know I really struggle to set them, and particularly to stick with them. I was going to ask, are you a fan of making them at all? And do you usually try and see them through?
I am hopeless, absolutely hopeless at New Year's resolutions. No, you know what? I always tried to make resolutions when I was younger, and I always epically failed. And then I kind of felt terrible about the fact that I didn't meet my goal. And I don't know if this is helpful to anyone, but what I have found helpful is, rather than kind of setting out these kind of like lofty goals for myself that either I fail or succeed in, I try and figure out what is the thing that I'm hoping to achieve. And then on a day-to-day, I kind of just ask myself, when I'm faced with a choice, is this thing going to take me closer to my goal or further away from my goal? And hopefully, more of the time, I'm making a choice that's making me, approximate my goal. And I just find that approach is a bit kinder to myself and just me in the right direction more so. So, no, I haven't got a New Year's resolution. And, good luck to everyone who does, though.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Sherine. That's brilliant. That's it for this episode. Our thanks to Sam, Owen and Sherine. Remember, if any of their experiences resonated with you, you can find out more about the support we offer and ways you can get involved in fundraising for us on our website, The links to that and all the information you need to contact our support line are in the show notes. And if you've got a story to share, we'd love to hear from you too. You can get in touch with Shout Podcast through the contact links in the show notes. So whether you've been supported by the charity or you supported us with some incredible fundraising, please get in touch to tell us about it. We've got another show coming up next month, so don't forget to follow or subscribe, and I'll see you then. Take care.
If you liked Shout Podcast, you're going to love My Firefighters Charity, the new social media wellbeing and fundraising app for the fire services community. Packed with great wellbeing content from the expert teams at the Firefighters Charity, you can connect with others, join groups, collaborate and have fun with your fire family friends across the UK. And you can get the advice and help you're after from the Firefighters Charity whenever you need it. Head to your app store, search for My Firefighters Charity and register for free today.